Please join us for the playing of our national anthem.
Welcome to this very special and historic SAIS commencement. When I became dean last summer, I never imagined that the first graduation ceremony I would preside over would be a virtual one, but here we are. And let me say that I am delighted to have this opportunity to honor all of you, our graduates, and the incredibly hard work you've done at SAIS to get to this day. But first, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge the serious circumstances we all find ourselves in. Right now, I'm in an empty Kenny Herter auditorium on our DC campus, a safe distance from the camera crew, and you are in your respective homes all around the globe, hopefully with loved ones, deploying technology to watch this event at a time unlike any the world has ever seen in our lifetimes. As students of international affairs, we have discussed the shocks that have shaken global order. Now we find that the world has, quite literally, become our classroom. And oh, what tremendous lessons it has to teach us. In a startlingly short window of time, millions of people have been infected with coronavirus. Hundreds of thousands have lost their lives, and still countless others have fallen ill. And alas, these are still early days. It seems that nearly all of us know someone who's been affected directly by this illness. And if not by the physical ailments, we know those who have lost their livelihoods, with millions of jobs disappearing worldwide within a matter of weeks, a reality that I know is on the minds of many of our graduates at this moment. And yet, despite all of that, you have completed the requirements for your graduate degree, and that is an accomplishment of which to be proud. It is graduation day at SAIS, and here we are, gathered virtually to celebrate you. And what a special class this is. 679 graduates, who represent the incredible vision Paul Nitze and Christian Herter had over 75 years ago when they started the school. Let me tell you a bit about this year's graduates. Our 2020 graduating class represents more than 55 countries, an almost equal number of men and women. They hail from Argentina to Botswana, from China to Estonia, Ghana to India, Italy to Malaysia, Mexico to Serbia, from the UAE to the USA, to Vietnam, and so many places in between. And it is that richness and diversity of place and history and experiences that they have brought with them to SAIS that makes this class so special. They've taken courses from what I believe to be the best faculty in international affairs, brilliant women and men who bring their very best to the classroom every day to ensure the success of our students. They've adapted and adjusted quickly over a space of weeks, from classical in-person classrooms to virtual and online learning. Not an easy thing to do mid-semester. And speaking of the rigors of academic work, it is always amazing to me that even during the school year and beyond, our students can still find time to contribute to the world around them. Take Latin America Studies program graduate Miranda Bain, for instance, who spent last summer interning with UNHCR in Colombia, helping to respond to the global refugee crisis. For the entire time she was there, Miranda worked to support Venezuelan refugees and internally displaced Colombians, registering and documenting persons as they came into a bus terminal in Bogota. And her classmate, Latin America Studies program student Cody Etlin, also graduating today, who served as an international election observer for the Bolivian general election back in October. He was deployed to the city of La Paz, where he observed the elections and witnessed the dramatic escalation in political tension over the controversial election outcome which precipitated the ousting of President Morales. I'm also thinking of students like Sang-Yu Soo, a native of Korea who grew up in Austria and is earning his MA today, as well as Rachel Attlee, a former diplomat with the Australian government who is earning her master's in international public policy today. Both of these students were instrumental in helping to organize efforts during the SAIS student trip to Ethiopia last year. And the list goes on. Each of you have had incredible opportunities during your time at SAIS to experience the world beyond the classroom, and we hope those experiences have enhanced your education and helped you develop skills that will serve you well for years to come. We have given to you, but you have also given so much to us, and we know that you have given and will continue to give to the world. We celebrate your success, and with you, we thank those who stood by your side, spouses, partners, parents, children, and friends who cheered you on. Give them a real hug if you can, a virtual one if you cannot. They deserve it. So welcome to this unique graduation. We are so glad you're with us and with one another. We are fortunate today to have a speaker who I think epitomizes the kind of leader each of us should aspire to be. Fiona Hill's life and career is a wonderful story of resilience, intelligence, and persistence, public spiritedness, and courage. She was born in northern England, the daughter of a coal miner and a midwife. When many of the coal mines were closing in the 1960s, her father wanted to move the family to the United States so he could find work. But his own mother's poor health required the family to stay in England. They struggled. And as a young teenager, Fiona worked odd jobs to help support them. She washed cars, she waited tables. When she interviewed to be a student at Oxford, she remembers that she was ridiculed for her accent and the way she dressed. But she eventually went on to study at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, where she studied Russian and became an exchange student in the Soviet Union. It was there, while interning for NBC News, that she witnessed the signing of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty by Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, and was fascinated by what this might mean for the world. Not too long after that, she came to the United States and earned a master's degree in Russian and modern history and a PhD in history from Harvard. Her career trajectory has been long and impressive. Fiona has served as a senior fellow at Brookings for the last 20 years. During that time, she has periodically had the opportunity to leverage her vast knowledge of Russian history and the intricacies of Russian politics as a presidential appointee. She served under Presidents Bush and Obama as National Intelligence Officer for Russia and Eurasia. Until late last year, she also served for 2 years as Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director for European and Russian Affairs at the National Security Council in the Trump administration. Her compelling testimony last fall during the Trump impeachment proceedings affirmed what I have known for many years, that she is a person of high moral standards and the utmost integrity. Knowing Fiona, I was deeply grateful for her courage and presence of mind, and I was utterly unsurprised by them. I present to you my friend, Fiona Hill.
It's an incredible honor to be your commencement speaker, but it's a strange situation to be in, addressing an empty Kenny auditorium in my academic regalia. I'm sorry you can't be here physically, but we are pioneers in a virtual commencement. You and your families and friends can still be proud of your accomplishments, and I will be delighted to help you celebrate properly when the time's right. For now, our virtual networks will have to sustain us. Perhaps every commencement address evokes the idea of an historical moment. But in this case, you are indeed graduating at one of those pivotal periods where everything changes. You join recent SAIS cohorts from 20 years ago who graduated after 9/11, and 10 years ago who graduated after the 2008 financial crisis. You will find yourself in a situation quite different and more difficult than you anticipated. Your world, our world, will not be the same after this tragedy of COVID-19. This global pandemic has shaken us to the core, like the cataclysms of World War I, the 1918 influenza pandemic, the Great Depression of the 1930s, and World War II, which shaped the course of the 20th century. Here in 2020, everything seems to have come crashing down. Lives upended, loved ones lost, dreams shattered, millions unemployed, domestic and global crises compounded, blame cast, rumours spread. But public servants have stepped up to help, along with scientists, doctors, nurses, and private citizens, many from the larger Johns Hopkins community. You will join their ranks to find solutions. When the dust settles, you will use your skills from SAIS to reassemble the pieces and construct something new from the rubble. Every country has been affected. We will rebuild at home and reforge ties abroad. We are all in the same predicament. Right now, we are physically pulling together to combat this dreadful disease by sitting and standing apart. Those of us who can stay at home and have the space to ensure appropriate distance from others are the lucky ones in this fight. Even if our personal and professional plans have gone awry, we need to remember this. By sitting at home and social distancing to curb the viral transmission, you are being tested. Through this experience, you will learn a great deal about your capacities in critical times. As a society, we have already learned about the capacities and courage of others, as we have watched our healthcare workers put their lives on the line, and the behind-the-scenes workers, all the people we have taken for granted in the vital food production, manufacturing, and transportation sectors, risk infection to keep the rest of us fed and supplied. In the months ahead, our society will face a reckoning, a reassessment of who and what is really, truly important and where we need to go from here. You will have opportunities on a personal, communal, national, and international level to make a difference and create a new reality. Like you, I graduated from my master's program at a pivotal point in history, in 1991 at the end of the Cold War. A month into my program, in 1989, the Berlin Wall came down. Over the next 2 years, history seemed to move at warp speed, with professors and students alike sprinting to catch up. Unlike you, I was fortunate to graduate in person. My parents were with me, bursting from pride, just as your family and friends are. It was their first trip from England to the United States. My parents never made it to university, let alone to a second degree. My mother found great satisfaction as a nurse, training to become a midwife straight out of school at 16. But my dad missed out on an education and the chance to be a professional soccer player. Both passed him by because of poverty and family challenges. Dad became a coal miner at 14, and he always said his degree was from the School of Hard Knocks. Life was full of adversity. You passed the test if you made the best of whatever the school of life threw at you. In his case, it was frequent unemployment. First, the mines disappeared, then the jobs in the steelworks and other heavy industries of my home region. And he constantly had to start again, as you will now. In the end, Dad became a hospital porter. Along with cleaners, porters were on the lowest rung of the healthcare system. But my dad was well aware of the essential role he and his colleagues played. They were all ex-miners, and the hospital couldn't function without them. During World War II, miners were the essential workers, literally fueling the war effort from the coalface. During this war with COVID-19, hospital porters and cleaners are the essential workers, on the front line alongside nurses and doctors around the world. My dad and my mum wanted for me what everyone wants for you, opportunities from education. My success was their success. My master's degree hangs on the wall in my childhood home. It's the first thing anyone sees when they come through the front door. When I first started thinking about what I might say to you today, I couldn't remember who the commencement speaker was for my graduation, which is somewhat awkward. I had to look it up. It turned out it was the Harvard president himself, Derek Bock, a break from world leaders in the years around 1991. So apologies to President Bock. But there was someone on the stage among the group of luminaries receiving an honorary degree who I remember very clearly, Edward Shevardnadze, the foreign minister of the Soviet Union, sitting on a stage in Harvard Yard with his shock of white hair and a slightly shocked expression. I had received a degree in Soviet studies, and he was the Soviet foreign minister, the extremely unlikely recipient of a Harvard degree just a few years before. He was honored for his new thinking on Soviet foreign policy and his efforts alongside Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev to change the trajectory of the Soviet Union's adversarial relationship with the United States and the West. It took Shevardnadze, Gorbachev, and everybody else by surprise when they ended the Cold War. For me, Shevardnadze's presence seemed like one of those secret cosmic signs, an auspicious beginning. But by December 1991, the Soviet Union was gone, dispatched to the ash heap of history. My degree looked like a dead end, a liability. The Soviet Union was history. My new master's degree was history. So I pivoted to history for my PhD, and I parlayed that degree and many difficult personal and professional experiences into a career in national security and public service. Shevardnadze was also out of a job, and he had to start again. He became the first president of an independent Georgia. In his new role, he had to contend with civil war and try to turn around a failing state. Today, you are Edward Shevardnadze in 1991. You were sitting at a commencement, slightly shocked. You were at your computer or on your phone, not at all where you expected to be when you first set out on your scholarly journey. The old world's gone, and all your expectations are on a different trajectory. But you were well prepared for the challenge of difficult times, and yours will be a different path from his. SAIS was founded in 1943 in the middle of World War II to prepare the generation who would rebuild. You are the first post-COVID-19 generation. You will rebuild. Your first job when you leave here may be hard to find, given the circumstances. It may not be what you thought it would be. Your personal and professional life has already been altered. You may be doing things virtually for some time. You will have to constantly reassess. You will need grit and determination to dig deep and follow through when things don't go according to plan. At times, you may have to retool, but you have the expertise to do that from your studies. SAIS has prepared you to become creators and initiators. You are active recipients of knowledge. SAIS embodies the spirit and ethos of international public service. All countries and their citizens have been affected by COVID-19, some of course worse than others. You know this well. You are the graduates of a global campus with branches in 3 countries that have been hardest hit by the pandemic, China and Italy, as well as the United States. Some of you, and your families and friends, may have suffered a great deal in these past months, but you also know how to make the best of adversity. In 1990, the celebrated jazz singer Ella Fitzgerald was among the honorees at Harvard's graduation ceremony. In 1991, my dad was deeply disappointed that he'd missed her by a year. Dad had a much-prized collection of American jazz records. Ella Fitzgerald was the queen of jazz. One of his favorite songs was her version of It's Only a Paper Moon. It was written in 1932, the year of my dad's birth. It has a simple but clever refrain, and we used to sing along together. It's only a paper moon sailing over a cardboard sea, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me, is how it begins. The song ends with lines that somehow capture our moment in time. It's a Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me. Your virtual commencement is a make-believe celebration for a time of plague. In the past decade, you have also had to navigate a period of political polarization and social division, where at times things have seemed as phony as they can be. Yet the song's message is clear. We can make things real again, if you believe in me and I believe in you. As SAIS graduates, you will step up to public and international service and help change the world. You may not have all the answers to the daunting problems we face in this global crisis, but you know how to find them. You have youth, energy, and enthusiasm on your side. You have the camaraderie and solidarity of your classmates and all the SAIS alumni who came before you, as well as those who will come along after this pandemic is finally over. They wish you every success. Your success is their success. Your success is our success. Congratulations on your accomplishments. They are real, not virtual. Stay well and safe, and as soon as you can, hug your loved ones tight. They and I will always believe in you.
Thank you, Fiona, for that incredibly inspiring message. We are so grateful for your presence today. Now I would like to take a moment to recognize our Student Government Association.
It is my honor to recognize the Student Government Association for their dedication and hard work. I'd like to acknowledge the graduating members of this year's SGA. Shamila Ashraf, who served as your president, Zachary McCutcheon, who served as vice president, Nanika Paul, who served as treasurer, Mackenzie Horowitz, who served as programming chair, Molly Shutt, your SAIS Europe representative, Nicholas Hung, the Hopkins Nanjing Center representative, and Rohan Alawalia, the MIEF representative. Even before the start of the school year, this group brought tremendous energy, new ideas, and a strong commitment to represent the interests of their fellow students. When faced with adversity, they reinforced that they were indeed the epitome of servant leaders. It has been my great privilege to serve as their advisor, and on behalf of the SAIS administration, I want to express my deepest thanks for a job well done. I would now like to introduce one of the most outstanding student leaders I've worked with, your SGA president, Shamaila Ashraf.
Thank you, Corey. Graduates, esteemed guests, faculty, and staff, thank you for joining us today. I hope you're all staying healthy and moving forward in this difficult time with compassion for yourselves and for those around you. I applied to SAIS during the fall of 2017. I had recently graduated from college and didn't understand what a career in international affairs entailed. And even with that uncertainty, I took the leap of faith and applied to SAIS. After applying, I quickly convinced myself I wouldn't actually get into this school. But then, fast forward to preterm. I was still undoing everything I had told myself about whether or not I belonged here. In those first few days, I met peers from all around the world. I learned about Peace Corps and Fulbright experiences, and I met members of the armed forces who had completed multiple tours in Afghanistan. I befriended students who aimed to become politicians, diplomats, and founders of nonprofits. And in the middle of all of that, I started to panic. How could I even begin to think of myself as equal to my peers who had devoted their lives to public service and global policy? But as preterm continued and the fall semester began, I noticed a shift in our conversations. We began sharing with one another our fears, worries, and inhibitions. We all worried about the same things: passing economics and finance courses, getting the internships we wanted, and meeting the goals that we had set for ourselves when we arrived at SAIS. I quickly realized that each of us had the same imposter syndrome, but just hadn't told one another about it. I want you all to take a minute and think of your first day as a SAIS student. Some of us were on Massachusetts Avenue, others in Bologna or Nanjing. But no matter the difference in location, a common thread connected us all: this question of how we would successfully navigate an uncertain new world. Graduates, we accomplished the very things we were worried we couldn't do. We passed economics courses and completed internships all around the world. We advocated for ourselves and for our communities. We protested, raised money for charities, and volunteered on political campaigns. And in between all of that, we grew, refined our sense of self, and reflected on how our education could shape this world. We entered with fears, but are now successfully exiting with the lessons to guide us forward. And now, graduates, we are at a point of uncertainty again. The global currents are shifting. Democracy and stability are coming under fire. Compassion and integrity are being devalued in the wake of racism, hatred, and bigotry. We are being asked, once again, to navigate an uncertain new world. How we react, respond, and recover from these uncertain times will be shaped by our confidence and ability as SAIS graduates to engage with our environment. We are entering an uncertain world, but this time we are not the imposters. Rather, we are the individuals that can contribute to the progress and the stability of this world. We can take our education, skills, and experiences and turn them into thoughtful policies. We can make sure that as we progress, we carry forward those who are struggling to fight for themselves, knowing that once upon a time, our peers at SAIS did the same for us. Rather than being imposters, we are now becoming the leaders of this global stage. This cycle of uncertainty and self-doubt will continue, but each time you find yourselves here, I ask that you remind yourselves of the last time you were here. And then remind yourselves of today, the day that you graduated from the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies. No matter how uncertain the situation is, I know that we will have the strength to move forward with thoughtfulness, inclusivity, and dedication to improving the world in which we live. Congratulations, SAIS class of 2020, and thank you for letting me be a part of this SAIS community.
It is now time to present the 2020 Founders Award which is given to an individual who has provided extraordinary support to the school. It is my honor to recognize Todd Fisher as the 2020 recipient of the Founders Award. As a graduate of the SAIS class of 1991 and chair of the SAIS Board of Advisors, Todd Fisher is a valuable member of the Johns Hopkins SAIS family. His education at SAIS translated into an illustrious private sector career, which took him all over the world. Todd spent over 25 years with the global investment firm Kohlberg, Kravitz & Roberts, initially as a private equity partner in London, and then as a founder of KKR Real Estate, where he founded, built, and oversaw the firm's real estate investment business. He returned to New York as KKR's Chief Administrative Officer and partner. Currently, Todd is the Managing Director of Scalable Solutions for Year Up, a not-for-profit focusing on closing the opportunity gap for young adults. Todd has been an excellent ambassador of all that Johns Hopkins SAIS education has to offer, and I am grateful to him for his advice, friendship, and tremendous support of SAIS during my time as dean. Please join me in congratulating Todd Fisher and thanking him for his dedication to Johns Hopkins SAIS. It is my pleasure to present the Dean's Award for Exemplary Service. This year, the award goes to Pratima Enfield. Pratima is the Executive Director of SAIS Online and Distance Learning, where she and her team have been absolutely essential this semester in ensuring our rapid and seamless transition to virtual learning as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. In just a few short weeks, they transitioned our academic programs to virtual platforms and conducted trainings for faculty and students at all 3 SAIS campuses. Prior to joining Johns Hopkins SAIS, she worked as Director of Distance Learning at Cal State Northridge and as an instructional designer at California University. We recognize her broad knowledge and commitment to our academic programs across the Johns Hopkins SAIS community. It is my honor to announce this award today.
It is now my pleasure to recognize a few members of our faculty. The SAIS Excellence in Teaching Award is a student-directed process that awards faculty across 5 categories for their outstanding teaching practices and commitment to student learning. This year, we are proud to award 5 professors with this distinction. The winner of the Teaching Prize for International Economics is Professor Jonathan Hodenbach for his inclusive teaching practices in macroeconomics and monetary theory. Students describe Professor Hodenbach as a professor who is admired for bringing real-world applications to the study of economics and for supporting students as they navigate the real world themselves. Professor Marcos Campos is awarded this year's Teaching Prize for Language Programs. Professor Campos not only directs the entirety of SAIS language programs, but has worked diligently to ensure that students can effectively learn foreign language in this new virtual medium. We thank him for his dedication to showing students the value of language in international affairs. The Teaching Prize in Policy Programs goes to Professor John McLaughlin for his magical teaching practices. No, really, he's an actual magician. Professor McLaughlin not only has years of experience in the trenches of American security and policy, but has the ability to convey those experiences in lessons, guiding students in his class to think critically about the world's most pressing challenges. Professor LaSalle Hintz is the winner of this year's Teaching Prize for Regional Studies. Her compassion towards students and their experiences makes her deserving of this award. When Professor Hintz was notified she won, she responded with gratitude and awe of the students who were navigating so much during this difficult time. She embodies someone who can bring this level of love, enthusiasm, and warmth to teaching. The Teaching Prize for Outstanding Adjunct Professor goes to Professor Marcia McGraw-Olive. Professor Olive has been described as being one of the most approachable and engaging professors that students at SAIS have met. Her ability to connect professionals to the classrooms gives students the opportunity to go one step further in their education. Congratulations to all of our winners this year.
It is my honor to announce the winners of 2 of our esteemed student awards. First, we have the Christian A. Herder Award, which was established by the friends and associates of the school's co-founder, Christian A. Herder. This award for distinguished academic performance is presented in honor of the person whose vision and inspiration have encouraged generations of young people to perform effectively with skill and statesmanship in the international arena. The Herder Award is given to students in the second-year class with the highest grade point average for the first 3 semesters. This year, the winners of the Christian A. Herder Award goes to 3 of our students: Taylor Jackson, Christopher Merriman, Luke Tibersky. Congratulations. While the Herder Award is given for scholarship, the most important component of the next award, the William C. Foster Award, is service to SAIS and the community. The certificate reads, "For sound scholarship and a record of leadership and distinguished service to SAIS, exemplary of the high qualities of integrity, loyalty, and ability admired by Mr. Foster." This prize honors the former director of the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency, distinguished businessman, tireless public servant, and devoted SAIS Advisory Council member. The students receiving the Foster Award were selected for significant contributions to SAIS and the community. The 2 recipients of the Foster Award are Shamaila Ashraf and Nainika Paul. Congratulations to all our winners.
I'd like to say congratulations to the class of 2020 from SAIS DC, Hopkins Nanjing Center, and SAIS Europe in Bologna for crossing the virtual finish line. Thanks and welcome to all the friends and family who logged in today. We're sure you would have come even if it involved actually traveling. I didn't know what to expect when I picked up and moved to DC 2 years ago to come to SAIS. I'm very sure though that it wasn't this. I doubt any of you expected things to conclude this way either. Maybe like me, you came here because you wanted a career in government. Maybe you came to be a consultant or advance in the military, work at the UN. Whatever it is you were planning, it's surely been altered for the same reason we're sitting around computers right now instead of shoulder to shoulder in gowns. I first want to thank our professors and staff. Lecturing from their basements and trying to keep their kids from being distracting in the background wasn't what they signed up for either, but they did their best to finish out our education on a high note. I also want to thank all of you. I've had the pleasure of getting to know people from places I may never be lucky enough to travel to. I've gotten to work with people who have done and seen things that I never will. Going through this with all of you has made me smarter and more well-rounded, and hopefully one day I'll even be able to say this to you in person and within 6 feet of each other. There's no getting around it. In our last semester here, the world has changed more drastically than we could have imagined. No class, no practicum can prepare us to graduate into a world that has come to a sudden and grinding halt. We come from many different countries on several different continents, and each of them is going to be hurting for years to come. Now is the time for doctors and nurses and public health officials. That isn't us, and this moment calls for us to follow their lead. But soon will be the time for economists and competent government administrators and nonprofit leaders and consultants, development professionals, and business innovators. Soon will be the time when those of us privileged enough to get an international education from a place like SAIS will be called upon to put it to use, helping to rebuild what is likely to be a fractured and deeply distressed world. Like me, I'm sure you've all had friends and family tell you how unlucky you are to be graduating into this smoking crater of a job market. But frankly, I think we're more fortunate than most. The skill sets we came to SAIS to hone are exactly what's needed right now. So in that sense, graduating here and now on Zoom and in our homes represents an opportunity. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing positive about what's occurred. But since we can't change the past or present, it's incumbent upon us to shift our paradigm about the future. We will be the ones shaping whatever world emerges from this crisis. The last 30 years of economics, politics, and policy has been molded by the generation that came after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Our current global tragedy has the potential to alter the world in even more fundamental ways, and it will be our generation that will have to make the difficult choices ahead in all the fields we're going into. We didn't ask for this opportunity, but now we have it, and we might as well grab it and run. Maybe if we work hard and smart enough, we can create a world that's better prepared for the next crisis. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2020.
Class of 2020, it is now time to award your degrees, the moment you have worked so very hard for since you first applied to this school. Allow me to introduce Noemi Crespo-Rice, Assistant Dean of Student Affairs.
Thank you, Dean Cohen. It is my pleasure, alongside Adam Webb and Gabrielle Calabro, to be a part of today to celebrate your accomplishments. So we encourage you today, as well as your families, to celebrate loudly as your name is announced.
It is my pleasure to present the candidates for the Certificate in Chinese and American Studies. Maria Trixia Pai Muñoz Apiado. Joseph Robert Bauer. Joshua Cartwright. Michael David Tuan Clark. Tiana Kutanko. Natalie Jane Craig. Brandy Darling. Lynn Doe. Aidan Leaping Greer. Natalie Grover. Bo-Chen Han. Leah Marie Harshagen. Brad Hebert. Brianna Adrian Joachim. Susie Songok Ko. Howard Ling Hao Meng. William Totsia. Sam Schulman. Amanda Jane Valensevich. Cheryl Ofasuya Rehene. Kevin Hansher Wu. Celine Shuwan Yip. It is my pleasure now to present the candidates for the Master of Arts in International Studies. Morgan Shea Brown. Alexander Elijah Cowan. Ian Echo Faulkner. Nicholas Pollard Felt. Joel R. Falstrom. Jameson Campbell Harrington. Eric Maurice Lecour. Dwight Lindquist. Samuel Allen Olson. Hope Elizabeth Parker. Benjamin Avichai Katz-Sinvani. Samuel George Smith. Luke Ferdinand Brian Witsani. Anna Lee Wolfe.
It is my pleasure to present the candidate for the Diploma in International Studies, Lucrezia Butti. It is my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts in International Affairs, Josue Arteaga, Gerardo Avila Cervantes, Giacomo Bogo, Ariana Bondi, Nenda Catherine Chinda, Cinzia Chiriac, Lorenzo Fontanelli, Nicolas Ferrero Villarreal, Yasin B. Guy, Soumya Gayatri Ganesh, Maria Griston, Ewan Gukian, William Hargreaves, Maria Helligenbrunner, Raban Oke, Ocean Cuellar, Rap Cruizu, Anushka Linglar, Willemane Meltzer, Isabeau Mensing, Hilda Marie Maholt, Charlotte Piacentino, Ginevra Poli, Maurizia Maria Puccini, Lucrezia Scaglioli, Rosanna Shita, Friede Leah Stanslin, Julie Stover, Manon Tipu. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts in Global Risk. Sofia Alexandravchus, Peter Aspestran, Alessandro Baratti, Mariah Greb, Christian Gruber, Kirill Klimov, Patrick Karath, Marie Lindyalova, Anthony Meyer, Keith Kennedy Miller, Olivia Northrup, Brandon Peterson, Liberty Siegel, Anahita Tabrizi, Ildad Tashir, Brian Raffaele Teeter, Jefferson Ventrella. It is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts. Samuel de Meza, Matteo Takami Todisco, Zishan Vazir, Julie Wang.
It is my pleasure to now present the candidates for the Master of Arts. Dania Abdallah, Kevin Daniel Acker, Arthur Christopher Ackerman, Anna Acosta, Atif Jalal Ahmad, David Taeyong An, Sol An, Mabel Temitayo Alamu, Sultan Afalasi, Hannah Altman, Paula Alvarez Coseiro, Samuel An, James Lee Tiberi Anthony, Stephanie Arzati, Eric Ashida, Shamaila Shazad Ashraf, Anastasia Austin, Sarah Aver, Aliyah Awadala, Miranda Bain, Eliana Balabani, Isabel Bartman, Benjamin Bierman, Blake Bell, Phoebe Margaret Benich, Zarina Mame Afua Bentham, Sebastian Bernal, Nayantara Bandari, Evan Alexander Bird, Peyton Elise Blackstock, Andrew Richard Harold Blake, Mitchell Blatt, Peter Bradford Bowl, Simran Kalyang Boradi, Eric Anders Matthias Bostrom, Hunter Boyette, Kevin Ross Brensinger, Emil David Browder, Jasmine Brown, Celine Batayish, Laura Bulbena, Daniel Joseph Burke, Alexandra Gabriella Burns, James Franklin Byers, Ian Byrne, Samantha Camaletti, Baran Johnsever, Gary Tsao, Shi Sao. Yu Sao. Jennifer Caldoza. Daphne Carletti. Ebony Carroll. Jill Meredith Carter. Sarah Tiller Casson. Rogelio Celaya. Christina Shabali. Paul Singh Chahal. Beverly Yo Kate Chan. Andrew Albert Chandler. Krish Dixit Chatterjee. Alicia Chow. Beatrice Royu Jen. Ge Chen. Guo Chen. Hao Chen. Chi Chen. Su Young Chen. Ya Chuen Chen. Zhuo Le Cheng. Jennifer Cho. Jasmine Su-Young Choi. Rachel Marie Russell Clayton. Kathleen Cohen. Matthew Joseph Cohen. Jennifer Ann Conrad. Daniel Robert Cooley. Colleen McKenna Cozy. Patrick John Curran. Fan Dai. Georgina Danielle. Leah Imani View Danville. Samuel Asher Davidoff Gore. Nicholas Edward Davidson. Chantal Angelica Davis. Arcadia Rose Deck. Dabi Diak. Nathaniel Diaz. Robin Dickey. Jesse Dietz. Keel Malutki Dietz. Zhe Yao Ding. Marjorie Driver Dodson. Ife Dong. Aaron Alexander Dressler. Ifan Du. Matthew Ice. Cody Tomas Etlin. Jackie Nicole Stephanie Iyako. Kathleen Julia Fallon. Zhi Fan. Elliot Corsack Faust. Liao Shen Feng. Dylan Foxworth. Victoria Aaron Friend. Elliot Jeffrey Frumkin. Henry Fung. Johannes Maximilian Gechter. Daniel Gagliano. Tianlang Gao. Weike Gao. Guillermo Enrique Garcia Montenegro. Robert Garrett. Annalisa Ileona Gegenheimer. Matthew Alexander Jensel. Alex Edwin Jensler Junung. Sean Michael Gibbons. Mary Lauren Gilbert. Jonah Gold. Charles Ross Goldman. Fiani Gomez Gil Yaspik. Manjia Gong. George Martin Goodfriend, Akanksha Goyal, Ryan Christopher Grace, Nicholas Watson Grady, Chanel Gabrielle Grice, Samuel Joseph Gruber, Abby Comstockgay Gunner, Ewen Hung, John Hosea Harkness, Claire Reynolds Harrison, Brian Thomas Hart, Seema Gabriella Hassan, Jinjin He, Shinji He, Greta Helvey, John Herndon, Daniel Day Higuchi, Nairit Hinkis, Mackenzie Nicole Horwitz, Zhenhao Huang, Simon Tran Hughes, Carolyn Hui, Nicholas Hung, William Morgan Hyson, Bianca Idis, Yu Inagaki, Emily Ng, Joshua Oluwatimilahin Iwaimi, Roshan Iyer, Taylor Jackson, Ian Jacobs, Lindsay Jagla, Nizar Jamal, Sierra Marie Janik, Colin Jarvis, Sushmita Jenna, Jessica Andrea Jimenez, Emily Waven Jin, Maya McKee Johnstone, Eric Maxwell Jones, Tai-un Ju, Christopher Reese Jundef, Jonathan K, Sarah Yejin Kang, Yaran Kung, Scott Carroll, Kenneth Chase Kelly, Matthew David Kern, Kashayar Katiri, Saksham Khosla, Inuk Kim, Jun Kim, Sungjun Kim, Yu Young Kim, Lucas Kisielos, Charles Cody Klimple, Paulina Koch, Emily Grace Koenig, Rebecca Korf, Anna Marie Nicole Kroos, Rachel Clark Langdon, Niels Langa, Samantha Sharman Losker, Lauren Shi Liskowski, Alessandro Lee, Jonathan Lee, Sung-hoon Lee, Sung-un Lee, Sung-ha Lee, Sung-min Lee, Julia Lawando, Po-chun Lee, Rui Lee, Wanching Lee, Xingchen Lee, Yimeng Lee, Yiming Lee, Yunmo Lee, Zuxian Li, Zhihao Liao, Hongyi Lin, Xue Lin, Yue Lin, San Liu, Dia Liu, Jianyu Lu, Jonathan Peifeng Liu, William Thomas Lloyd, Sophie Elena Lobanov Rostovsky, Michael Logalbo, Jordan Parker Lorenzen, Ryan Lucas, Caroline Elizabeth Lupatini, Donna Ni Lee, Alexander Lykoudis, Jinhe Ma, Austin Magan, Olivia Catherine Magnanini, Matt Mainzer, Alexandra Marksteiner, Kayla Mara, Megan Elizabeth Martin, Thomas Alexander Martin, Andres Martinez Fernandez, Zachary Ryan McCutcheon, Jeremy Bryce McDonald, Kevin Joseph McGrath, Aspasia Alina McKenna, Allison McNeil, Jacob Meixler, Anne-Marie Mendez, Chris Merriman, Jessica Myers, Brittany Norgard Miller, Anne-Marie Mills, Mary Leah Stribling Mills, Kun Nien Min Tet, Danielle Minette, Caroline Andrea Miranda, Sage Mitch, Belinda Mo, Adi Asha Mohanty, Sabiha Suba Mohana, Alexandra Morgan, Christopher Rolland Morgan, Jake Maxwell Morris, Stephen Moser, Yao Mu, William Stanley Mulhern, Victor Muller Ferreira, Clayton Levi Malloy, Amber Murakami Fester, Dennis Murphy, Patrick Naha, Kyoka Nakayama, Peter Scott Nance, Maria Clara Naranjo Quintero, Yu Narita, Paulina Naranova, Ryan O'Farrell, Leif Brian Olson, Oyintaralado Deborah Osiobeni, Gerhard Otehenning, Nicole Alexandra Otolia, Christina Parodi, Leonardo Patmore Zarconi, Nainika Ashok Paul, Alisa Virginia Pavia, Jonathan Witherspoon Pearl, Kyla Madison Persky, Andrew Phillips, Yang Chio P, Veljko Pilak, Christina Plotner-Riebeling, Megan Michelle Pohl, Ifan Powers, Jonas Prevko, Huma Kadir, Yen Chi, Iyuen Chi, Shinju Qian, Don Chiao, Huiyi Chiu, Ye Chiu, Chunzi Chu, Griselda Estel Ramos, Tenzin Rong Dole, Rebecca Rashid, Henry Rawlings, Edouard Raville Flavier, Daniel Clayton Rice, Adam Joseph Richwine, Dougal James Somerville Robinson, Priyanka Antoinette Roach, Alexis Claire Morgan Rorick, Patricia Alejandra Rojas Correa, Ray Rong, Jordan Alejandro Rosenberg, Michael Adam Rosengard, Max Griffin Rosicki, Vaishnavi Rupavatharam, Jonathan Salfield, Gabriella Sainz, Samira Salha, Sarah Louise Singer Sassoon, Quentin Savage, Sandra Savakite, Ryosuke Seweyamo, Thomas Schoenberger, Lydia Sanatkis, Nicholas Sensenbrenner, Matthew Salvatore Cerrone, Xiaohan Xiao, Yue Xiao, Daniel Schatz, Laura Trusillo Shelton, Sanam Reva Shetty, Molly Brennan Shutt, Miriam Elena Zemis, Elliot Morris Silverman, Jonathan Paxton Sine, Minaj Ranjita Singh, Stephen Skirtick, Hugh Alexander Smacklow, Rohan Srinivas, Sanidhi Srinivasan, John Cameron Muir Stockham, Monet Stokes, Sangyu Se, Yun Jung So, Yelizavieta Sohinienko, Itemon Sumitpaibul, Cassandra Christine Lucas Tyra, Chua Tang, Midori Tanaka, Harrison Andrew Tanchuk, James Yoshinori Tawny, James Joseph Taylor, Aichun Kathy Tung, Peldon Tenzing, Joshua Nunn Farrington III, Kyle Innes Thetford, Xiao Tian Tien, Frederick Gabriel Tui, John Peter Trimble, Samuel Elliott Traska, Joe Theodore Twynham, Luke Stanley Tyberski, Co Renault, Joseph Henry Versen, Jordan Victor, Ricardo Vinci, Kimberly Vo, Michiel Peter Vriends, Tyler Joseph Walker, Kyla Peterman Walser, Chao Huang, Han Wang, Jamie Wang, Jiahui Wang, Jia Yuan Wang, Shi Yu Wang, Yan Wang, Yikai Wang, Yingting Wang, Yuxuan Miller Wang, Ryan Muhammad Wardick, Julia Lynn Wargo, Lyda Rachel Weinstock, Alex Robert Weintraub, Jonathan Wilkinson, Madeline Ruth Wiltsey, Andrew Leonard Wong, Joseph Stanley Wood, Chiang Wu, Yingchao Wu, Zihui Wu, Susanna Xiang Xiao, Ida Xiao, Ray Xie, Buli Xing, Mai Year Hyung, Se Ruo Shu, Yingdong Shu, Zi Shui, He Shi Shui, Hao Yu Young, Li Zhong Yang, Lu Jia Yang, Shan Yang, Song Po Yang, Zhenqi Yang, David Nathaniel Yao, Rebecca Yim, Elizabeth Carol Young, Mike Yu, Meng Yuan, Chi Chang Yuan, Timur Yousefzai, Jan Stralik, Sabrina Brigitta Zeckmeister, Chuyin Tseng, Mariana Cepeda Noriega, Chung Zhang, Che Zhang, Haoyang Zhang, Kai Zhang, Lu Zhang, Chuen Chang, Shi Shui Zhang, Yifan Zhang, Ina Zhang, Yuqi Zhang, Wei Zhao, Yueshu Zhao, Sanran Zheng, Hanchen Zheng, Liyang Zheng, Ivy Zheng, Shuyue Zhou, Kuxing Zhu, Xuanyi Zhu, Nidali Zuhir, It is my pleasure to now present the candidates for the Master of International Public Policy. Rodrigo Acha. Britton Helene Alfred. Emily Armitage. Rachel Otley. Clayton Awney. Lelit Avoyan. Sunghan Bae. Jennifer Vanacek Bales. David Birmingham. Adam Robert Boyd. Colin Judson Brandt. Eduardo Calderon. David Clementi. James Michael Crump. Matthew Lynn Daniels. Pramit Dash. Lambert Degaine. Susan Elizabeth Firestone. Bernard Gardner. Janine Katya Garner. Benjamin Robert Gilbert. Christopher William Growell. Robert Francis Green. Michael Rome Hall. Oskanaz Hambard Zumyan. Paul William Hansen. Thomas Lee Hatfield. Wufai Ino Ibiang. Matthew Lucas Jameson. Yamato Kawamata. Swanzetta Kielsen. Jefferson Garner Kent. Christopher Kerwin. Charles Richard Kissling Jr. Justin Adam Knox. Michael Kuiper. Margaret Louise Leahy. Jackson Reuben Lee. Sung Yap Lee. Catherine Susan Long. Yang Lu. Gianni Malcedo Macedo Riso. Justin Michael Magula. Esther Susanna Marcella. Christopher Jason Mendham. Takaho Mikami. Andrew Miller. Joseph Edward Moy. John Muirhead. Chinazo Anselm Moaneki. Daniel Martin Murphy. Mogametsi Veronica Mutengwa. Toshi Nakanishi. Adejumoke Ajibola Ojo. Jackie Powell. Austin Jason Pressler. Debrenjen Pujahari. Jeremiah Lee Randall. Eric Reed. Eric Daniel Richards. Philip Christopher Rowe. Peter Rumler. Gordon D. Rutledge. Abel Seipel. Vibanshu Shekhar. Colin Patrick Slepp. William Truman Strohecker IV. Aaron Kathleen Sullivan. James Francis Sullivan IV. Ryo Tanaka. David Tebby. Kara Lee Tulin. Kirello Taropchin. Carlos Miguel Toscano, Joseph Anthony Tricomi, Hiro Uehara, Reuben Chekeme Umuna, Brian Vega, Taylor Washburn, Martin Christopher White, Aisel Yagubova, Amarina York. It is my pleasure to now present the candidates for the Master of Arts in International Economics and Finance. Rohan Singh Aluwalia, Rasang Amin, Shriyans Bhaskar, Neil Evan Bhatia, Rohil Vinay Chandok, Chinyu Chen, Xingjian Chen, Xinyi Chen, Ziqing Chen, Yuyin Chung, Nathaniel Coffey, Anna Colanduni, Yao Dai, Jackson Joseph de Gregorio, Yi Hong Duen, Mingzi Gung, Mark William Hagan, Scott William Hansen, Zhiming Huang, Jacob Alexander Johnson, Nisha Kumar, Rosie Lamprakaji, Hao Sheng Li, Jinmung Li, Muyen Li, Shinran Li, Geraldo Martínez Cordero, Alexander Tamto Morris, Fayar Ni, Caitlin O'Neill, Arushi Pasricha, Zhenzhou Peng, Alexatrini Siknia, Haichuan Wang, Huilin Wang, Tianyi Wang, Yahweh Wang, Ziyue Wang, John Stephen Wilhoit, Fan Wu, Yumeng Wu, Yunwei Shu, Lei Ya, Ju Sun Po Yun, Bo Yuan Zhang, Wong Jin Zhang, Jinjia Zhao, Zimo Zheng, Siqi Zhong, Siyo Zhou. It is my pleasure to now present the candidates for the Master of Arts in Global Policy. Abdullah Almohanadi, Sergio Enrique Anaya, Kevin Daniel Brown, Lori Brown, Robert Charles Corain, Benjamin Chapman DeWitt, Daria DeGutz, Garrett Jonathan Exner, Savannah Jean Fox, Andrew Joseph Gumbiner, Ahmad Samir Habashne, Grace Breland Howard, Shauna Elise Juarez, Avak Karamamiman, Onsun Kim, Dojio Branco Nezavich Santivanez, Jenna Marie Nevins, Taylor Nienaber, Maria Cecilia Otegi, Alan Brannard Raymond, Corinne Rising, Courtney Jacqueline Brode Roberts, Jessica Ruzick, Shauna Christelle Shepston, Sarah Forbes Simpson, Stephanie Marie Stoughton, Carl Lawrence Wernicke, Jordan Cody Yadu, Jesse Dylan Young. It is my pleasure to now present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy. Eric Daniel Haggard, dissertation title, China's Civil Military Integration, National Strategy, Local Politics. Ilaria Mazzocco, dissertation title, Electric Dreams, Industrial Policy, New Energy Vehicles, and the Persistent Role of Local Government in China. Colin Powers, dissertation title, Producing Crisis, Surviving Crisis, Power, Capital, and the Social Structure of Accumulation in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Hai-Yun Ji Rim, dissertation title, Deterring Allies, Curbing the Emergence of Nuclear Outlaws in East Asia. Please join us in congratulating all of our graduates.
Salve Bolognesi! On behalf of SAIS Europe faculty and staff, it is my honor to congratulate you on this momentous occasion. We know that you're going to go out into the world and make it a better place. Un caro abbraccio da Bologna e auguroni.
Greetings from the Hopkins Nanjing Center to RHNC students and to the rest of the SAIS family. Wherever you find yourselves today, you should be very proud of how well you've come through this exceptional time. And I wish you the very best as we merge into a brighter future for all of us.
My head is off to the class of 2020. You've been gracious, determined, and resilient in the face of a global epidemic.
We know that we will be seeing you time and time again as all of you go on to change the world.
The COVID-19 pandemic only underscores the vital role that you, as SAIS graduates, will be playing, shaping the world from this point forward. You are the vanguard. I could not be happier and I could not be prouder.
But my view of success is overcoming adversity, and you have overcome adversity.
It's clear that the world needs your leadership and your skills now more than ever before.
I wanted to let you know what a tremendous honor and privilege it's been to work with you over the last 2 years. You guys have been outstanding colleagues, both inside and outside the classroom.
I have always wanted to do this on the stage at the DAR Constitution Hall, but I couldn't until now on this video.
Congratulations to all of SAIS's students. I hope you'll bring with you a spirit of joy and determination to make the world a better and brighter place.
Land on your feet and keep climbing toward all the great things that lie in your future.
I've seen the future. I see it in our classrooms, in our schools' events. I see it everywhere in SAIS. The future is you, and it is a bright future.
You did it. Be proud of yourselves, because we're certainly proud of you. And to the graduates of SAIS Women Lead, go around the world. We're rooting for you.
We're so very proud of you, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck as you move forward.
You can do it. We know you can because we taught you how. We've seen you work hard, struggle, and today we're proud to see you prevail.
And as you leave SAIS, remember to keep learning. As the philosopher John Dewey said, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself.
Best wishes on the massive accomplishments that you've achieved this year, and best luck in achieving even more in years to come.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Congratulations.
Felicidades, class of 2020.
Please keep in touch.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Felicitación. Parabéns. Felicitaciones.
Congratulations, SAIS graduates.
Congratulations on graduation from SAIS.
It is my great honor to welcome you, the graduates of 2020, as you take steps forward from Johns Hopkins SAIS into your next ventures. This is not how I hope to address you today, but as a fellow SAIS alum and first vice president of your Alumni Association, I know that not only has Hopkins prepared you for the challenges you have faced in your final semester and will now face in the world, but that the institution will continue to provide you with support, leads, and companionship as you move forward. The Johns Hopkins Alumni Association is made up of 230,000 alums from all 9 divisions of Hopkins. Our goal is to celebrate the diversity of our community, whether you are a Whiting alum in Baltimore, a SAISer in New York like me, or a Bloomberg alum in Nepal. Think of the JHU Alumni Network and Association as a platform of alumni that have shared personal and professional interests with you. Now, more than ever, I would encourage you to stay connected in a virtual way through Hopkins at Home. Hopkins at Home is your online source for lectures, mini-courses, live events, and lifelong learning activities, and it is maintained by the Alumni Association. I would also encourage you to engage with People Grove at Johns Hopkins. There you can connect with and get advice from other alums to forward your career. As I offer my congratulations to all of you and wish you the very best, I hope this will be the first of many opportunities where our paths cross. And as you celebrate your achievements, remember, you will always be a Johns Hopkins graduate.
As we come to the end of our program, I want to leave you with 2 thoughts. As I said in the beginning, the difficulty of the times we currently find ourselves in cannot be overstated. It is indeed challenging, and the world as we once knew it will probably never be exactly the same, even once the dangers of the coronavirus have subsided. But tough times don't last forever, and I want to assure you that this too shall pass. The world awaits, and you as graduates have so much to offer it. You are well equipped, and you are needed more than ever. We cannot wait to see where your journeys take you next and all that you will become. And that leads me to the second thought. This wonderful SAIS education that you have just completed comes with a lifetime warranty. A promise from me, from our faculty and the staff here, that we will be here at SAIS cheering you on and will continue to be in the months and years to come. So stay in touch. Let us know what you are doing. And when things settle down and we are all back on campus, come see us. And be sure to visit us in a few years when we are in our shiny new digs at 555 Penn. But most of all, stay well. Take pride in your accomplishments and be of good cheer. Go forth and make this embattled world a better place, as I know you will. Congratulations and sincere thanks.